Hi everyone, Joe Zeleznik, NDSU Extension. Thanks for joining me today. I'm just here to give you a quick, brief update on a project we have going on about honeybees and shelterbelts. I'm the outreach guy in this project, so I'll tell you what I know and hopefully we can discuss it some more. Whoops, as we go on here. There we go. All right, the research question we're doing is very simple. Do bees get early season forage from trees and shrubs? My guess is yes, but we also want to measure how much they're getting, what species are providing that forage, are they focusing on anything, and what's the long-term effect on honey production? So what species are they using? We'll try to figure that out, and when. There are two projects, regions. We're doing this in the Streeter area, kind of the center of the state, and southwestern North Dakota, down in Adams County by Hettinger. And it's just kind of a region. 9 sites in the Streeter area and 15 sites in Hettinger. And the sites, I love this photo. I can see the bees in the air. The sites contain, in some cases, very little tree cover, some cases a little more, and in some cases, we're really right up there, right up against the shelter belt. This shelter belt doesn't have a whole lot of forage in it. My guess is the shrubs that those trees need, the shrubs that the bees need are not in this shelter belt. And this is Haley Keene. She's the graduate student working on the project. I'm sure you'd recognize her if you saw her on the street, right? Yeah, okay, maybe not. Most of those photos are from Haley. So one of the things that Haley and her team did is first, how many flowering trees and shrubs are there and when? What time of the season are things blooming? And in any given shelter belt, how many are blooming? And I don't have that data, just so you know. One of the other measurements she made was hive weight, and this was hourly. So this is one of her setups here on the palette, and the hive on the left is actually sitting on a scale, and that is measuring the weight of that hive every hour. And it measured it every hour from the beginning of the project in about mid-May until mid to late September when the project ended. Every hour. Haley did a lot of work checking on this data to make sure it was correct, because hive weight goes up and down every day because the bees go out and forage, they come back. They go out as a group, the weight goes down, they come back, the weight goes up, and gradually it increases. The other thing that can happen is the beekeepers can come in and put in the new slats. I can't remember what they're called. I think it's called a super, maybe. I'm not sure, but they can add things to the hive. They can take things out, and Haley had to account for that. She did a great job. You can see the two regions, Hettinger and Streeter, more or less are the same. There's no clear difference to me between the two regions. You can also see when does honey production or weight, I guess, start to increase. It's kind of mid to late June when it starts to really go up. The other thing is you will notice there are a few that kind of flatlined and even went down by the end of the season. Most of the sites, most of the hives increased in weight, and that's great. That's what we wanted to see. But some of them actually stayed even, which is unfortunate. Here's another view of some of the data. So again, early in the season, until about mid-June, hive weight stayed about the same and actually even decreased a little bit, I think, early on while the bees were starting to get producing, and they were actually using more energy than they were pulling in early in the season, especially in western North Dakota. It seemed to go down just a touch more before it started going up. These are some of the best sites out in the west and in central North Dakota. And that's weight, hive weight, and it starts out at 0, even though obviously it's not 0. It's how many pounds of honey and other things got produced. So she measured hive weight, and also is working on part of this is pollen identification. And the bees collect pollen, as they're out there working the flowers. And what you can do is you can actually set up a pollen trap on their way back into the hive to collect the pollen. So you can study it, and you can actually go online and buy pollen, bee pollen, or well, bee collected pollen if you're interested. Uh, Not sure how much the pollen costs, but this pollen trap you could buy for less than 30 bucks on Amazon. This is just an example. I don't have any pictures of her actual pollen trap that she was using. There's a bunch of different kinds that you can use. But I love this photo. It's a great photo. It shows the various types of pollen that the bees were coming back with. And we're still working on trying to identify what the species are that the pollen is from. So what we're going to do in the future, what we are going to do, what Haley and her team are going to do in the future is they're working on pollen ID right now. And they're also looking on production versus tree cover. Tree cover within a quarter of a kilometer, half a kilometer, 1 kilometer further out. And this is just one example of some of the data she's working on. And we'd love to see that gradual increase with tree cover. And at least with this graph, it shows that how much tree cover in square meters within a quarter of a kilometer. A quarter of a kilometer is 250 meters, so less than 300 yards. So there's a little bit of an increase there in honey production or hive weight with increasing tree cover. In 2021, they're going to go to an extra region, going to go down into South Dakota a little bit, down towards Hettinger, so it's still going to be out west. This takes a lot of work to set these up and a lot of coordination with the local beekeepers, and we're very grateful for their help with this. And my goal in this is to reach out to the beekeepers and to you all to let you know what we're doing and what we find. So it's kind of an interesting project. I hope to learn more about it this year. And I just wanted to give you a very brief introduction to it. I introduced it last year. Just wanted to give you a brief summary of, what we got going on and what we found so far. So thanks. And I'll see if I can stop the recording now. And there I am. And bye-bye.